we appraised the car for $30,000, but these people owe $50. Can we bump it? And I'm like, what they owe has nothing to do. It's like me coming to your house and saying, hey, Brian, what do you owe on the house?
Right.
A vehicle is going to depreciate the same no matter how you finance it.
Hey, welcome into Inside the Lease. It's our chance to kind of show you what leasing is all about through our friends at D&M Auto Leasing. I'm Brian Estridge. Kelly Strausser's alongside. How are you, buddy?
Very well.
You're
Thanks
looking
for
good
having
today.
me.
I like that jacket.
Thank you so much.
Fancy.
And then there's Chase. Chase is with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome.
All right.
Good to see you.
I thought we would start this conversation with how the lease works, how a lease works. And I hear, people in conversation say, you can lease a vehicle for up to half off on your monthly payment. How can that be? How does that work?
Great question. So we honestly get leasing as renting a bunch as well. And so just kind of touching on that, how is the lease payment calculated? So the reason the lease payment is lower is you're just paying for the part of the car you're using. So it doesn't matter where you get it. You pay cash, you buy it, you get it from Texas, you go to New Jersey. All cars are manufactured in a factory. There's a set cost, right? So they all cost the same up front, and then they're all going to be worth the same whenever you trade out. So, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, however long it is you keep it. Doesn't matter how you bought it. Doesn't matter what you put down. Doesn't matter the car's worth, what the car's worth. And so what we do in a lease is there's a thing called a residual value. That's a guaranteed future value. That's what you pay the car down to. So for just simple math, you buy a $50,000 vehicle, you finance it for 3 years, you're going to pay $50,000 starting point plus taxes, TT&L, and interest. You're going to pay it down to zero. In a lease, they're going to say, okay, you're going to drive, is it 10,000 miles? Is it 20,000? Whatever the number is, it's going to be worth 20,000 or 25,000 at the end of 3 years. Well, we make your lease payment, pay the car from 50 down to 20 or 25. So you're not paying for that end part. That's why it's less. And so in a traditional situation where if you go buy it, you pay it to zero and you go around and you're haggling trying to get your money back out of it. So we're basically guaranteeing that money to you up front where you have a lower payment. And then at the end of it, you don't have to do that. So rather than trying to recoup your money, it's just guaranteed by paying less up front. So in that example, if it was a 3-year lease versus a 3-year loan, if you pay it down to $25,000, if that's the guaranteed value, it would be half as much because you're only paying it from 50 to 25, which is 25 grand, right, rather than 50 to zero. And so now there are people that will call in and they'll want a 3-year lease to be half of an 84-month loan. And no, not in those scenarios, but 3-year lease, 3-year loan, 4-year lease, 4-year loan, 5-year lease, 5-year loan. And it depends on how well the car holds its value. And so we're experts at knowing. Somebody may call in on a particular car, and we're like, hey, we ask questions because we're brand agnostic. We don't care what car you get. And so we may say, hey, look, here's what you want, and maybe it's a car that doesn't hold its value as good. So it may cost more than another car that does hold its value better. So if you think about it, how good it holds its value determines what you pay it down to. And so our team, because we can do any make or model and we don't care, we're able to help try to guide people. We try to have a conversation and guide them towards what is the right car, which one does fit what you're looking for best. But again, in summary, it's less because you're just paying it down to what it's going to be worth, not the whole thing and try to get it back out.
So you're just paying for the amount that you drive.
Yeah.
The amount of the car that you drive, essentially.
Sure.
Yeah. You said something though earlier about mileage, and I'm going to sound like my dad, or my grandfather, Kelly, when you always heard, I drive too many miles.
Oh, yeah.
To lease a vehicle. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that forever. Yeah. Is that true?
Can we go back to what Chase was talking about real quick, and then I'll get to that for sure. Is that called deflecting, by the way? I was just wondering.
You did that well.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
I like it.
I don't want to answer that. In all seriousness, Chase said the word residual. I think that confuses people, or they get caught up on what that means. So residual is a guaranteed future value of the vehicle. As the lessor or a funder, we're guaranteeing a future value for a vehicle. I think that's very important because it makes leasing so much more logical than just signing a long-term finance contract with complete disregard to what does it mean to me down the road. So with a residual, let's say we're talking about a Toyota truck, Toyota Tacoma that's $50,000. We have to do an incredible amount of research to determine what we feel like that vehicle is going to be worth in 3 or 4 years to set a residual.
Yeah,
And
not
so,
today. You got to think about down
the road.
Right.
Down the road. So there's
You're on the
so many
market.
data sets that we take to set that residual, and then we have to prove to the insurance company, because we have to have insurance on that to guarantee these residuals for folks. And so when you're leasing and you have that residual value, that guaranteed future value, it's actually a situation where, as a consumer, you hold all the cards, but as a lessor or a funder, we hold the risk of the depreciation. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say that Toyota Tacoma, that we've done all of our research, and we know based upon all the data sets that vehicle in 3 years should be worth, let's say, $30,000.
In 2029 or
That's right.
2030,
Yeah, down the road, that we're making that guarantee. The customer is not making that guarantee. So let's say, gas prices or economy or whatever, or the vehicle gets into an accident, you have hail damage and you get it fixed, you got a bad Carfax, and the vehicle's not worth that residual. Well, the customer has the right to bring it back, drop off the keys, walk away, and get out of it. And we're on the hook for the difference. Or let's say the customer keeps great care of it and everybody wants Toyota Tacomas and the residual's a little bit low. The customer keeps that money. They can roll into the next lease. They can sell it on the market.
Someone is on the back end letting them know that.
And we manage the
Yes.
back end of that for people, where a lot of times we used to deal with a national bank. No one's going to tell you. No one's going to manage the back end of your lease. And so when you think about it, we do all of this work behind the scenes, but it's very logical, because really smart people, way smarter than Chase and I, or definitely Chase. Now, really smart people have figured out, okay, what's the future value of that vehicle? And then you're just paying the difference between what the car costs new and what it's going to be worth in the future. And that's called depreciation. And you're paying that depreciation from point A to 3 years down the road,
Right.
or 4 years down the road. And we set all that up, and to Chase's point, and we manage that entire situation for a customer. That's why we're saying when you finance, when you pay for your cars this way, we believe this is the least expensive way you can pay for your cars, unless you're going to write a check and keep it for 10
And
years.
that car is going to drop in value the same no matter where. They
matter
can,
where.
They
Same
can take
no matter
off
what.
the whole month of July and go to every deal. The cars all come from the same factories for the same price.
The price is going to be the same.
And then down the road, it doesn't matter. A lot of negative, good credit, bad credit, a lot of negative equity, or a lot of cash down you put. That doesn't impact the value. So I love whenever salespeople come in, they're like, "Oh, hey boss, we appraised the car for $30,000, but these people owe $50. Can we bump it?" And I'm like, "What they owe has nothing to do. It's like me coming to your house and saying, "Hey Brian,
Yeah.
what do you owe on the house?
Right.
I'll give you. I'll buy it for that."
Or
You're
if you
like,
paid cash, would it be worth more?
"Yeah."
If you owed nothing,
Yeah.
can we give you more?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So but a lot of times people don't think about that, and that
But you talked about on the back end and the fact that you're tracking that, you're following that. This sounds like a relationship. It doesn't sound like when I buy a car off the car lot, I walk out and it's over.
It absolutely is. The average tenure of our salespeople is well over 10 years, and the average tenure of our managers is over 20 years. So you're always going to be talking to somebody that someone that's been managing that for you for years, that's looking out for you.
I know so many customers' names because I've seen we've got 4 generations of some
Exactly.
families where we've got grandparents and their kids and their kids, and now we got parents buying cars for the youngest set. But I know them all because I see the names over and over and over again.
Speaking of generations, do you want to get back to Granddad's
I'm not gonna let you
question?
off the hook.
No, I'm not.
I'm not gonna let you off the hook.
ready
He's
for
had time
Granddad.
now. to
He's
think
got
about
to
it.
formulate it.
I'm ready for Granddad.
Yeah.
So we talked about it being logical. Here's the deal. Back in Granddad's age, there was probably, I'm assuming people didn't know how to set leases up, number one, and leasing was different back then. But so it leads to some of those thoughts, like I drive all these miles, I can't lease. Well, let's talk about that for a sec. Like Chase has said numerous times, a vehicle is going to depreciate the same no matter how you finance it. So the more miles that one puts on a vehicle what does that do to it? What does that increase? What I just said.
Yeah, it decreases the
depreciation.
value. Yeah.
You add more depreciation to it, right? And that's what people don't understand. So, let's say we have two customers, A and B. Okay, let's say they have the same credit, same income, same age, same everything. They go buy the same car. They put the same amount of miles, same amount of money down, and everything. Let's say the only difference between A and B, everything's the same. But let's assume for a second that A wants to drive her vehicle for 7,000 miles per year and trade in 5 years.
Back and forth to school, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let's assume B is going to drive her vehicle for 25,000 miles a year and trade in 3 years. Okay? So just to rewind.
Yeah.
And this is for you and for Granddad.
Yeah.
All right? A is going to keep that car for 5 years
Got it.
at 7,000 miles per year.
Okay.
Okay? B is going to drive her vehicle, same vehicle, 25,000 miles a year. And after 3 years, B is going to have 75,000 miles on her vehicle. Mm-hmm. Follow me? Mm-hmm. If they both walk into the same place of business and get the same bank loan and have the same payment, well, first of all, should they have the same payment? The answer is no.
Probably not if they're driving different miles.
Because they're driving different miles, and example A is going to depreciate her car significantly less. She's driving it less miles, and she's going to keep it longer, which is going to spread the depreciation out. So intuitively, A should have a much lower payment than B, because B is driving the heck out of her vehicle. She wants to trade sooner, so that's a shorter period of time, and there's a ton of depreciation packed into those 3 years. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally.
If they're not guided, to Chase's point, if they're not guided throughout the way, they'll walk into the same place of business, get the same bank loan, and it may or may not work out for A. It's definitely not going to work out for B, because B's situation just wasn't set up properly. And so, hey, I drive a lot of miles. Great. What we do is we match up the lease, or we match up the financing program to the way that person drives. So we put B in the same position as A. We want everybody to be in a position where they can trade equitably from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle, and they're just paying the least amount of depreciation that they can without any negative bad rollover, which is negative equity. So we're going to customize it. So that residual, when you drive more miles, that's okay. That residual goes down, because the vehicle's going to be worth less for the miles. As a matter of fact, one thing that a lot of people don't know, and I bet Granddad didn't know, is that leasing was created for business usage, for high mileage business usage, way back when.
Is that the fleet?
That's how lease. Yes. That's why leasing was created, because businesses couldn't find. They had salespeople driving everywhere, all over God's creation, and they couldn't figure out how do we structure it. So really, the more, in many cases, the more miles you drive, the more of a lease candidate you are, because you really need a custom payment plan when you're driving those extra miles, or you're going to end up in a bad situation, because what we keep saying is these cars depreciate the same no matter how you finance them. So there's no way, if B may want the same payment as A.
No, they do for sure.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah. But B may want the same payment as A. And let's say that we were unsuspecting or didn't know what we were doing and made them both happy.
Right.
Gave them both the same exact payment. Well, B is going to over depreciate her vehicle. She's not going to be paying enough monthly, and it's like Chase said, you're swiping a credit card of negative equity every month that your payment doesn't match the way you're driving, and then you got to pay for it at the end, and that's called being underwater or negative equity. Everybody knows when they're underwater. And most people think it goes back to the deal they negotiated. It's not maybe it does, but more often than not, it's the way the lease was set up, the way the financing was set up for them, and that's what we specialize.
So the leases are tailor-made then to guys like you who drive 7 miles a day, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
about 7, 8, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, short little trip, but on the high mile driver, because there's an education process, because people do believe high miles, it doesn't make sense. So the guy that does not have somebody set it up right, they go somewhere, they buy it, they finance it long term, they drive way more, than your average driver. And then whenever they want out, you pay it per month, or you pay too little per month and you pay it when you trade. But they figure out that, you know what, my car's now worth X, which is much lower than what I owe. And so they pay when they trade. It's like you don't get to hide from it.
Right.
You pay it per month, or you pay too little per month, and you
One
pay
way or
it
the other.
when you trade. But you add up all the money.
Yeah.
You're going to pay it. It's like doing a cell phone plan. Back in the day, I used to get in trouble with my parents because I'd have, I don't know how many megabytes of data.
Sure, you were using it
And I used to say, hey, give me the bigger plan.
Yeah, no.
Like, what is this 10 megabyte nonsense?
Yeah.
No. Well, then they get the overage charge at the end. So I'm like, hey,
one way or the other.
one way or the other, I'm using the data. So why
Sounds
don't we
like
just
you owe
pay the
mom and
right
dad
amount
some
per
money to
month?
me.
Yeah, I had to mow a couple extra lawns, so wrapping it up.
Yeah.
You drive high miles, great. Leasing makes sense. You drive low miles, great. Leasing can make sense. It's just all based around how long are you going to keep it.
And that's when you rely on the experts to help you draft it.
Well,
put it together.
We've done it for 50 years,
Yeah.
so we are experts in leasing, and then there's that being experts in leasing, and there's caring about the customer, and there's trying to believing in what you're doing and trying to set it up right for the customer so they're in a good position. And I think that's why we've retained 70-80% over the years of our customers, and why we've grown to like 50,000 people because for us, like I've said in the past, that first lease is the beginning of a relationship. It's not transactional to us. It's relational.
Yeah, there you go. And that's a good way to end it too, because not only if you're a high mileage driver or you drive 7 miles a day like Chase, it works for you. Thanks for joining us here on Inside the Lease. For Kelly and Chase, I'm Brian.